The Regina Folk Festival would like to thank our funders, including Canadian Heritage, SK Arts, City of Regina, Sask Culture, Sask Lotteries, Tourism Saskatchewan, and ArtsFest Business for the Arts. As we begin this offering, I'd like to take the time to acknowledge that we here at the Regina Folk Festival are on Treaty 4 lands, home to the Anishinaabe, Nehewak, Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota peoples, as well as the homeland of the Métis-Michif Nation. Our guest Julian Taylor is based in Toronto, which for thousands of years has been the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by the Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Our guest in the North Sound Forest is currently based in Saskatoon, Treaty 6 territory, home to the Nehewak, Anishinaabe, Stoney, Nakota, and Dakota peoples. Yes, and so thanks to everyone for joining us, no matter where you are at, you're very welcome. My name is Amber Goodwin, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm the artistic director here at the Regina Folk Festival. It's our immense pleasure and honor to have Julian Taylor and the North Sound play our Winterruption Festival on April 2nd at the Exchange. Thank you so much for your patience. We've had to postpone it. It's happening. And my one last formality is I'd like to officially introduce you both to folks who are getting to know your music, anyone who's joining us for the first time today. Julian Taylor is a Toronto-based, genre-defying singer-songwriter with extensive experience as a band leader, a band member, and solo artist. His latest album, The Ridge, was shortlisted for 2 Juno Awards in 2021, including Contemporary Album of the Year and Indigenous Artist Group of the Year. Each song on The Ridge represents an acoustic-driven mixture of styles that reflect Taylor's range as a creative force by building upon his tenure fronting the alt-rocking collective Staggered Crossing, as well as the fine funk and R&B driven foundation he continues to mine with the still active Julian Taylor Band. Forest of the North Sound is a band that's ever changing, with lyrics spanning across haunting metaphors and a sound balance between today's modern production and the era of Graham Parsons and Emmylou Harris blazing the highways. The group was formed in 2014 by Forest and with his partner in Nevada, supplying harmonies for days, I might add. The North Sound was created to share stories in keeping with Forest's Blackfoot identity and traditions from Treaty 7 territory. So, hello, Julian, and hello, Forest.
Hello, how are you, Amber? Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Hello, yeah, happy to be here. Can I just say before we get started, notice the difference. Notice the difference between my bio and Julian's bio. You know, mine's all has to be creative and cool, and then Julian's is just like.
Well, who wrote that bio, by the way? I've never heard anybody read that bio. It sounded great. Thanks for the comment on that for us. And by the way, Amber, your shirt is amazing. I love your shirt.
It extends to my knees because it's actually a dress.
Oh, well, it's super cool.
Thank you very much. I think you're both super impressive. I'm very excited that you're here today to chat, and then also to hear your tunes like live. It's one thing to hear recordings, but it's more special than ever to check out bands live and to hear the songs come to life, you know? So yeah. Okay, so today's we're gonna have a little bit of fun. I've got some questions. I'm excited to hear both of you answer. So basically all the questions are for the both of you. So it's kind of an exchange. But before we begin, I think that you two know each other. Is that correct? I kind of gathered that. How do you know each other?
That's a good question, actually.
Like this, basically, just like through Zoom stuff. Yeah.
From the Summer Solstice Indigenous Awards for sure. And what other things have we done for us? I don't remember. It's been such a long 2 years and such a short 2 years. We've never really hung out in person, but this is how this is going.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I just know that like when we started getting some stuff put out there, one of the names that kept popping up that was supporting our music and playing our stuff was Julian. And that was pretty cool for us to see. And then when we first met, that was like one of the first things that Julian would say. Can I just say too that Julian, you are like, I'm gonna make this really awkward the whole time because I'm just gonna keep throwing compliments your way. So hopefully you're good at dealing with those. You are like, and I mean this in the best way, you are like aggravatingly humble. and gracious and modest and so nice, because the first thing that Julian ever said to us was, I really love what you guys do. Let me know if there's any way that I can support you. And he's like sitting there, he's got all these Juno nominations coming out and all these other things that are coming out. And he's just takes that simple moment to just be like, I want to support you. And that's not,
That's what it's all about. You know, you
Yeah.
guys are great. And I just want to make sure that everybody gets to hear what you're doing and what everybody else in our music community is doing. That's how I feel.
I love that. Set a standard, because I feel like doing the same thing. Because if someone extends that hand out to me, I feel like I need to extend that hand out whenever I can down the road as well.
As you will. I'm sure of it. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's very kind.
I'm gonna stop hijacking this interview. You can go ahead and ask questions. Sorry.
All good. This is where the magic happens. So ask as many or throw as many compliments as you want over to Julian. I'll always make time for them. But I was gonna say also, Julian, like Zoom is like 75% of my whole social life lately. So
I know.
the fact that you got met and connected so much through Zoom and screens, like totally understandable in this era.
I can't wait to give him a big hug. I love hugs, and I can't wait to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so the first question I'm going to start with a completely unmusic related question to get us warmed up. Okay, and that is simply everyone's favorite subject outside of music is, what is your favorite home cooked meal? You take a moment.
Oh boy.
Mine is roast chicken. I'm just gonna
roast
say
chicken. Okay.
Yeah. And my own roast chicken, I should say.
My mom makes a good roast chicken. It's filled with salt.
Yeah, no, that's kind of the trick.
I know. How about you, Forrest? What's your favorite home cooked meal?
My favorite home cooked meal now. So there's a bit of a story that goes behind this, because I have to say I haven't had my favorite home cooked meal in a long time, because my favorite home cooked meal used to come around every year on my birthday, and my grandmother would make it for me. It was her version of baked spaghetti, and it was like, I'm not kidding, like 4 bricks of cheese and like 3 like why am I
No, it's just like him. Too much cheese.
It's just overload on cheese. Well, he's gonna come back, I'm sure of it.
Oh yeah.
My favorite home cooked meals, well, there's a few, and I haven't like Forrest, I haven't had one of them in such a long time, because I haven't actually had a chance to see extended family for a couple years. And so my grandfather used to make bannock, and that was one of my favorites, and he's long gone. But my aunt is from Trinidad Tobago, and she makes this goat curry with potatoes that is just to die for.
Amazing.
It's the only thing I'll eat when we're at her place, and when we're gathered around for Christmas or something like that. I just hoard that.
That's super special. Yeah, it's amazing how food just brings you back and makes you feel grounded and like in your family and community. Hey,
it really does, absolutely. And my girlfriend makes this really wicked vegan eggs Benedict hollandaise sauce, so there's that. It's slowly getting up there.
I think it's important that you recognize her cooking as well in this this scenario. Hey, Forrest.
Am I back?
You are back. I made a joke saying that it was just like too much cheese for Zoom, like in the recipe.
It was just too cheesy. You're out. Yeah.
Well, Julian, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I just got a phone call from Leon's Furniture. I don't know what they wanted from me, but I didn't answer.
I know what they want. They call me too.
Money.
Julian just shared some awesome food. Did you want to finish what you were saying about your favorite home cooked meal?
Oh, it was just baked spaghetti that my grandmother used to make. Loads of cheese and even include like cottage cheese she'd throw in there. I didn't know that was a thing that you did, but yeah, and she'd make it every year on my birthday. So that's my favorite home cooked meal. And now my favorite home cooked meal is skip the dishes.
Skip the dishes. That's cool.
I hear that. Okay, so this is kind of leading into like an actual music question, which is like that both of you, in both of your songs, like there's a sense of home that permeates throughout. So I was wondering if you could describe like what the idea of home means to you within your songwriting.
Who should go? You want to go first for us?
Whoever feels like they want to say something first.
Sure, I can go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it can mean a lot of different things. And for me myself, I've always been someone who I never really felt at home in one specific place. I grew up displaced from my community, and I grew up, without any Blackfoot speakers around me or going to ceremony or culture or anything. And so because of that, I never really felt like I was at home anywhere per se because I never really fit in. Um, and I guess like for me, what I found was that home was not necessarily a destination, but is more of a feeling. And so I can feel at home anywhere really, as long as I'm surrounded by, as long as I'm surrounded by, as corny as it may sound, as long as I'm surrounded by love, you know. And I get that from my partner Nevada. I get that from our girls. I get that from, family, and I can get it from complete strangers or people that I'm meeting for the first time. Home is definitely just like a feeling. And so I guess within that, I don't really ever long for one place. I long for a feeling.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that in some ways. I always think that, growing up, um, I didn't really feel like at home either, simply because I mean, Toronto, I grew up here. I was born here. I guess that on my birth certificate, that's what home would be described. I mean, if someone was looking for me, perhaps. Um, but, my family coming from two different oral traditions, and one of the things that I realized within those oral traditions was the sound of the drum was very prevalent in growing up. Um, and the drum is really the heartbeat. And so when I think about a heartbeat, I think about pointing right here. When people ask you, you know, a simple question like, about yourself, it's an interesting motion that people use. Their fingers, like, when they say home, where's home, or when they say, how are you feeling? Most people just point here to their heart. It's an interesting thing if you watch people's, um, you know, hand gestures. That word makes them go like that. Safety, it goes like that. It's interesting. So I believe that home is where the heart is. I know that's a cliche, but it's a feeling for sure. And I get that as well, from the people that I love and the people that love me. And, even complete strangers, just like Forrest was saying. I think that home is really what you make it. And as far as it drifting into my music, I often think about the people who have affected me the most in my life. Um, Certainly myself being one of them, and then the other people around me. And that's what I write about.
Absolutely. I really like how like safety in the sense of like, home being like this moving thing, more of a feeling and than a place is sort of interesting how that comes up, definitely inspired and influenced by places and the places
Sure.
that shape people, right? But
Well,
yeah,
everybody has roots, you know,
exactly. Yeah.
and they spread out like that. They go different places in order to keep that tree in place.
Yeah. It's interesting. When people say I'm from home, they're like, well, yeah, like that very
So you
much.
just did it. You just did it. You
Yeah. Yeah.
pointed
No,
right there.
I didn't realize it. It's
Yeah.
amazing how like these gestures connect with these ideas and feelings. Hey. Julian, while you're chatting, how so talking about like origins, how do you usually start crafting a song? Like your work, your especially your most recent album it's all about, it seems to me to be all about like songwriting craft, just good storytelling, great songs. I was wondering how do you usually start a song? Like how does it come to you?
With great difficulty. But I usually I usually sit down and, the first thing that I think about, the first thing that I do is usually what I stick with. I don't meander too far away from that first idea. So, for example, if I sit down and I pick up a guitar, the first thing that I end up playing even though I may end up playing a few other things after, it seems to be the thing that I gravitate back to. Those melodies or those chords, or and words come to me in a very strange way. Like I, I don't necessarily write words um, during the day. It doesn't work for me. I'm sort of in a subconscious sort of realm when I just before I'm asleep or while I'm waking up. I write a lot while I'm just lying around. I meditate. I just sit there and I envision things that have happened throughout my entire life, and I'll slave over it for a really long time until I find the right sort of phrase or turn of phrase or words. I don't care really too much about rhyming schemes or anything like that. For me, I'm just trying to tell a story and weave that all together. So it's very difficult, I find. I stress over it a lot. Sometimes I don't think I'm very good at it, and I've written a lot of bad songs. I mean, I've written more bad songs than I've written good songs, to be honest. And I'm just frankly very grateful that anybody really pays attention to what I'm doing. I'm just trying to um, tell my story, to deliver a message of hope and spirituality, as well as, identity, and sometimes just having some fun too,
Do you ever start with a really great hook? I've heard that you have a nickname, Captain Hook.
Yeah, I do. They stick in my head for way too long. I mean, I'll have something. It's really funny. Like I thank goodness for voice memos now, because when I was younger, I could remember things. Now that I have, I'm a father and a homeowner and all these things, I don't remember things as well as I used to when I was a kid. And what's interesting to me is like I can go back to like a voice message that I've recorded um, 2 years ago, and then something will hit me like 5 minutes from now, and it's so funny that it will be the same thing. It's as if the melodies are haunting me and following me all the time. Like for example, that Ballad of Young Troubadour was in my head for a really long time. I just never sat down and wrote the words. I just heard that melody bothering me all the time. Luckily yeah, it's kind of like an earworm.
Yeah, like a discomfort almost. You're like, okay, fine, I'll write you.
Yeah, sort of, with
Yeah.
great difficulty. I am honest about that. It's hard for me to write songs.
Thanks for sharing. Forrest, how about you? How does it start? How does songwriting work for you?
Um, that I mean, well, there's two types of songs in my world of creation. Um, there's the songs that I want to write, and that's the craft, right? That's the sit down, and like what Julian was saying, with great difficulty sometimes, in like a wrestling match with words and melody and structure, and just, with a goal in mind, because I like to push myself as a craftsman. I like to I have goals of being able to write any style and any genre of song at will. That's one of my, when I think about it, the end of my days of a songwriter, that's what I want people to say is he could sit down and write anything, you know. um uh and so those ones that starts with, those can start anywhere, I really try to give myself permission, and this is something that I've learned actually through the pandemic. I was a very, very rigid songwriter pre-pandemic. Through the pandemic, I've learned to allow myself and give myself permission to write anything from any way it starts. So sometimes it's chord progression, sometimes it's melody, sometimes it's lyrics, sometimes it's just an idea, sometimes it's poetry, sometimes it's just, I've really given myself permission to write from anywhere. And then there's the other side of songwriting, which is the need to write. And these are the songs that don't take effort. These are the songs that don't take work. They seem to come out fully formed. And those are the ones that I really believe, like, you can't, my father-in-law and I have a joke about those kinds of songs, because he's a songwriter as well. And we say, you can't write things like that, because they seem to come from somewhere else, and those are the ones that for me are the most, those are the ones that I feel the most sort of success from, not in a monetary sort of meaning of success, but like fulfillment of the soul, you know, successful within my confidence in who I am as an individual, because I do honestly believe that I was put here on this earth to write music, to write songs, you know, because it's the only thing that I've ever really been any good at, you know. But yeah, I really want to stress that point about like giving myself permission to write any which way, because I always envisioned myself as being a certain type of songwriter. I had an image of what I was supposed to be as a songwriter, and I've really learned how limiting that was for myself. I really learned that that was very judgmental of myself as a creator, you know. And so I really nowadays just try and let things come as they are, whether they're, you know, yeah, that's
You got to.
I could go on and on, but I'll end it there.
You just got to trust the song. The songs come, whether they're coming with great difficulty or ease. That you have to trust the song. And like I said, I think it was Smokey Robinson who said it. There's only about 7 chords and so many words in the English language, and everything's kind of been said before, and it was his job to say it differently. I like that, because he certainly did a good job at that. But there certainly are songs that are meant to be written by the exact individual that's writing them, and that's a beautiful thing.
What are the songs, Forrest, we'll start with you. What's the song that you've written that you're the most proud of?
That's a tough one.
Folks watching and listening to this are going to go listen to it directly after this.
You know, I think the song I'm most proud of is the song "Better Days" that's on our record, As the Stars Explode. That song is attached to so many things for me. The main thing being that that was the first song that I ever wrote in recovery. You know, up until that point, any song I had ever written was under the influence of something. You know, and there was a big piece of me that was very insecure, even though I knew I had a drinking problem, and even though I knew I had a drug problem for a long time. I was really scared of sobering up and going into recovery for many reasons, but one of the biggest ones being, can I create? You know, can I perform? Because I had never really done it sober. I'd never done it with a sober mind. And so Better Days was the song that helped prove to myself that I can, you know, that I can. And it's actually easier. It feels better. And the process itself is more desirable than it ever was, you know, under the influence of something. Because what I experienced going from writing other songs to writing Better Days was that I sort of knew what I was doing, in a sense, you know, not in terms of I know how to write a song, but I had more of a realistic view of the world around me. It wasn't skewed. You know, I had a direct connection to everything around me. And at that time it was really raw. You know, I was like I was an open wound at that point, you know. So everything was so raw and fresh, and very overwhelming. But the other part of that song, why I'm so proud of it, is because, you know, I remember when we wanted to put that song out, I didn't know what to do at that point in time with like the record and everything. And I reached out to our supporters, and I was just like, what do you guys want? Like, I want to put out some music, but I don't know do you want something that's like upbeat and like really like, you know, makes you want to move, or do you want like some like deep emotional cut? And everyone said they wanted something deep and emotional. And this was sort of right around the beginning of the pandemic. And I put that song out with zero anything, no plan, no nothing. I just threw it out there, and the supporters, they took it and they made it what it was. And so, I mean, it just, everything about that song is so, it's just a really, really good, it's just a really good memory to me.
Beautiful. For me, I would have to say, I think it's a song called Carry Me Home. And that appears on a 2014 release by the Julian Taylor band called Tech Noir. And it really is one of the first, well, it's one of the first songs that sort of tailors off into, and no pun intended, into the direction, into the direction of,
Quality dad joke. Quality dad joke.
that turns the direction towards what you would hear later from my work. But I was in Mexico, and I was at a friend's destination wedding, and my grandfather lived in Maple Ridge all my life, was really someone who I considered my best friend. He helped raise me, and he he was a beautiful man, very strong and very vulnerable man at the same time. I remember, him teaching me how to box and beating me up while we were doing that. But at the same time, I'd catch him crying, sitting in his chair because he couldn't speak Mohawk anymore. And he was just a really vulnerable and tough kind of guy. And our lives have sort of paralleled in a way. But when I was away, um, he had a stroke and was very, very sick and ended up in the hospital. And we were losing him. And I was in Mexico. And at that time, when we were away, Toronto had this massive ice storm. And the only way to get up here into Canada was through there and to the West Coast. So my mom went to go see him. She got there before he passed away, but I didn't. And I was unable to even make the memorial. I spoke to him just before he passed away. He could hear me. I knew that, but he couldn't speak. And it was just a really hard time. Everybody was having fun in the sun. And I locked myself up in a hotel room pretty much in the dark with just a lamp on. And I wrote this eulogy for him that I would send to my mom that she would read, that would become the song Carry Me Home. And when he died, I remember the night we were at the wedding, and he was Turtle Clan, worked Turtle Clan. And I remember having this huge pain in my back, just felt it all. I looked up at the sky and there was this silhouette of this turtle. And at that moment, I knew he was gone. So I walked away and went for a walk on my own and sat on the beach and wrote the chords to the song. And then it was one of those songs that, Forrest says wrote itself. And yeah, I think it's that tune.
It's amazing how, as musicians, music can be a friend to you in such dark times. Hey, just a way through. Thank you for sharing. Those are incredible stories, and I look forward to listening to those songs with new ears now. Even deeper perspectives. And I'm sorry for your loss as well. Yeah.
Well, I always say they're with us, and they are.
Yeah.
Thank you, though.
What song by another artist, this is kind of an open question, stands out for you as an exceptional song, or one that's incredibly meaningful to you? But you can look at it from a craft perspective, just like choice song.
That's easy for me. My favorite, my favorite song in the world is the Talking Heads. This Must Be the Place. I just absolutely love it.
Awesome. My husband sometimes walks around and quotes me the lyrics from that.
Oh, is that right? Because the lyrics are great. Speaking of home,
Yeah.
it's where I want to be, but I guess I'm already there.
Yeah.
And when I first saw that concert film Stop Making Sense, I was floored by you can't take your eyes off David Byrne. It's like I've watched that movie 100 times, and it always gets me. If I press play, I know that I'm sitting there for the next 2 hours. And This Must Be the Place is a really beautiful song. I dance to it, and I think to it. There's so many others. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but that one just came straight to mind.
That's awesome. How about you, Forrest?
Hold On by the Alabama Shakes.
Nice.
That one, that one got me through some times. I really, so in 2015, 2015 was a really bad year for me. I suffered a lot of loss that year, both of my, of the man who raised me, my stepdad, and my grandmother who also raised me. They both passed in that same year. And there were two things that I continually went to for comfort other than drugs and alcohol. Four things. There was the Keith Richards Under the Influence documentary, because there's this great scene with Buddy Guy and Keith Richards where they're playing pool in this little beach house, and Buddy Guy looks at the camera and just says, bad things are gonna happen. You just got to keep on living. That's what the blues are about. And that hit me. And coinciding that with Hold On by the Alabama Shakes, it just has this uplifting drive to it. The lyrics are just, it's just about, it's what I needed to do at that time, I just needed to literally just hold on, because, this too shall pass. I didn't know at the time that I would ever start feeling better and I would get over it, but I needed that song then, and I need that song now today. I just put it on, and I mean, Brittany's voice could raise the dead, Brittany Howard's voice is,
oh wow,
yeah, yeah, she could sing the phone book, and Hold On by Alabama Shakes. Doesn't matter what mood I'm in or what's going on, I put that song on, and for that 3 minutes and 15 seconds, I'm elevated.
Nice.
That's amazing. And so is that, my next question is another song question, which is like, what's your go-to song to sing in the shower when you're driving fast down a highway or something like this? Is it the same?
No, Jack and Diane by John Mellencamp.
Nice.
I'm really embarrassed right now.
I don't think you should be. This is a safe space.
I don't know. It may not be this safe. But recently, my daughter, and I'm sorry to do this to you both, has been listening to that song Blue non-stop in my house, and it is stuck in my head. I don't even know what the words are, but I've caught myself in the shower the last 3 days going blue.
It's a real problem in the music.
It's it's horrible. It's horrible. I blame her for it.
My daughter is obsessed with the Encanto Disney soundtrack.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, no, for sure. But we don't talk about Bruno all the time. Like we're just constantly singing that. Cool.
My house too. Yeah. Same here.
Sometimes it's the kids that get you, man. And like my top Spotify artists every year happen to be like Ariana Grande and Blackpink, and it's like, 'cause she gets a hold of it.
We totally separated our streaming accounts in our family just because my husband and I couldn't handle the algorithms being muddied anymore with Disney stuff.
It's like you wanted a true representation on your year-end Wrapped.
Yeah,
exactly.
To make sure that it was honest and real. Yeah.
If it was honest and real, we just like leave her in there, but okay, so sorry, I got distracted. Now I'm thinking like of the lyrics.
You're thinking of Blue. Yeah.
So
Blue,
totally.
I'll eat till I die. I'm gonna
You just throw it into the bottom of this as a low volume soundtrack. If you could describe your most recent album in 5 words, what would they be?
5 words. Okay.
5 words. You can do it like, you can hold up your fingers if it's helpful.
I got one. An exercise in self-repair.
Nice. It's kind of tricky. It's one of those things that sometimes you can meditate on and come up with it, but anything that just comes to mind.
Okay. No idea what I'm doing.
That's good. There's a lot of I really like the honesty in that, and that's what being an artist is, just like walking into the unknown, like starting from nothing every time. I love it, actually.
Yeah, just like throwing stuff at the wall and hoping something sticks.
Yeah, you got to do that. I mean, I'm working on a new record now, and I'm just so nervous about it, but at the same time, what the hell, just got to go through it and get through it at the same time.
What's making you nervous about it?
People liked the Ridge a lot. And now I have to put something else out, but I'm proud of what I've written, and I'm excited to release it eventually. But it's also a bit darker. I mean, the last 2 years have been a bit strange.
Absolutely, yeah. Forrest, what are you working on right now?
Also working on a new record. I also am very nervous about it. Just like the creation of it. You know, where we're sort of at with it right now is I realized that a lot of how I kept myself in shape vocally was by performing, you know. And when we went in to start doing the vocals, they were terrible. And I'm not even saying that in like a self-deprecating way. I mean, like, they were terrible. They were just not good vocals, because it turns out that it's like, you know, yeah, without performing and without being on the road and without playing shows, my voice really doesn't stay in shape. It's something that I'm
I agree
learning
with that.
to do now, right? It's a challenge. And so I'm actually today I'm doing a session after this. I have a friend coming over here, and we're gonna start going at the vocals again for the record, and
Good luck,
hopefully
man.
we get them. Thank you. Hopefully we get them not sounding as terrible as they were before, because terrible vocals are no good.
I agree with the whole muscle thing, but it's not just the voice muscles. It's pretty much been everything for me.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, well, hopefully, like slow practicing and climbing back into it works for you both on all the levels. Yeah, I mean, we're also respecting each other's space, right? You can't be like singing loudly in the house that you're sharing with your entire family at all times, at all hours, you know?
That's true. It's one of the reasons I tried to stop doing the live streams. My daughter was like, I'd basically run out of rooms in my house except for the bathroom. I could do a live stream from the tiniest room in my house if I wanted to, but I'd run out of staging, and everyone was like, I want to watch TV.
Can't you see daddy's a rock star? I'm just trying to do this thing.
I'm trying to keep food on the table and the TV on.
Yeah, kids don't care. They
No.
don't care what we do.
No.
They don't care at all. No, my daughters are the exact same way. It's like, but my oldest one anyways, she's out of the phase now. Now she doesn't care, but for a while there, she's really into being in the live. She was really into being in them. She wanted to be in the live streams, but now, yeah, she doesn't care. Yeah, exactly. It's like, you're not that special, Dad.
Okay, 1 second here, sorry. Oh, I have a question from the audience here. Have any of you taken a listen to the up and coming artist Yeat, Y-E-A-T? There's a recommendation that that music might be up Forrest's alley.
Okay, I have not. I'm gonna check that out.
Me as well.
Yeat, Y-E-A-T. Yeah.
Y-E-A-T.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Yeah, sweet.
Thanks for the share.
I will. I'll listen to it, and then I'll post my thoughts on Instagram on the stories. So whoever asked that question, if you go and check there, yeah.
What's the Instagram handle?
The North Sound YXE.
That's where you can find them. Cool. We're wrapping things up here. I've got like 1 million more questions, but I will select just a few, kind of thing. Okay. What is your most crucial equipment for music making? We've been talking a lot about songwriting today. What's your most crucial equipment for the gearheads who are listeing? And it might be your iPhone memo app.
Oh, it's up there. It's up there these days. For me, it's the acoustic guitar. I am attached to it. It's been one of my best friends since day one. When I first picked it up, when I was around 10 years old, it's stuck with me ever since. My cousin Ronke gave me her little classic acoustic guitar, and I started playing things like Knocking on Heaven's Door or Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. And since then, I take it everywhere I go. It doesn't ever leave my side.
Yeah, I would agree with that. An acoustic guitar. is definitely up there. Specifically right now for me, it's this Gibson G35 that I bought, that I got, I bought it on a whim. And if you've seen that thing on Instagram where there's like the guitar and it's like how much did you pay for it? And they're like, they gave it to me. That was sort of the situation I had to come. No, y'all haven't seen that? It's funny. But that was sort of the situation I came home to, and I brought this guitar home. Nevada was like, is that seriously another guitar? I was like, they gave me a great deal, I swear. But it was one of those guitars where it's like I bought it and then I was on stage with it that night, which I don't normally do, but I just felt compelled to do it. And it does this Steve Earle thing really well. Steve Earle does these little grating sort of things across his strings into chords, and it did that better than any other guitar I've ever owned. And so that guitar right now, and it's like fairly inexpensive too. It's like, I don't have to worry about beating it up. Like I have some guitars that I'm really like precious about, but this one is, I don't have to really worry about it. It sounds great. It's like super inexpensive, and it does all the things that I need it to do. And then right below that is a Telecaster. I need my Fender Thin Line Telecaster, because there's just some things that an acoustic guitar can't do, and there is literally nothing a Telecaster can't do.
So I've got a Barncaster. It's almost a Telecaster. Yeah, it's
nice.
I'll have to show it to you when I see you. But it's a custom made guitar that I just love too. But
are those coming along with you both to the show in April?
Definitely the acoustic Taylor. I mean, I don't know if I'll bring the Barncaster, but I might.
Cool.
How about you, Forrest?
Yeah, I'll have my G35 there with me.
Nice.
Not the Telecaster though. Yeah, not this time. I might have it though when I see Julian in May.
Sweet.
Yeah. I need to get a flight case for it. That's how I'm nervous.
Yeah, understandably. I've got another question here from the audience. So this week, an excellent report entitled Anti-Black Racism in the Canadian Music Industry Volume 1 was released in cooperation with the Canadian Independent Music Association. So the report revealed new information regarding the current operations of systemic racism toward Black musicians in Canada. The question is there a need for such a report concerning Indigenous musicians and their support players?
Absolutely. There's a need for that. I did one survey and questionnaire about that. So they're working on it actually. So it is in the works.
Okay, cool. From the Canadian Independent Music Association?
It was not from the Canadian Independent Music Association, but I honestly, I have so many emails, I can't remember who it was from, but it was done. I did the survey in probably November.
Sweet.
Yeah. But they have affiliations with SEMA as well.
Cool.
So it could come out that way, but one is in the works to answer your question.
Thank you. There's another question here. Do you find it harder to write songs while you're living at home with kids?
Mm-hmm.
Answer is yes.
For me, Forrest says no.
No?
Yeah, no, not for me. Not songs in specific. Everything is more difficult with kids. But honestly though, writing songs, I feel like has become, I don't want to say it's easier or more difficult with kids, but it has become a lot more honest, and I have a lot better of I have a clearer idea of what songs work and what don't, because kids are brutally honest.
That's true.
You know, kids are brutally honest, and I love the fact that I can play a song and my kids are going to tell me immediately whether or not it's good or bad. You know, and I had heard something along, you know, I had heard Andre 3000 from Outkast would talk about that and would say how that was how he knew new songs were going to be hits when he was writing them for Outkast, was when he would finish a song is he would play it for his kids, and if his kids danced and if kids sang to it, he knew it was a hit, right? And so that's sort of how I feel writing songs with kids around. And also too, they are nothing but a constant source of inspiration for me. You know, like if it wasn't, I always tell my oldest daughter, I always tell her like, you know, I always tell her, you saved daddy's life, you know, because she really did. Before her, I was very lost. I had no reason to try and be any better, be anything different than I was. And she changed that for me. And so when I have my kids around, they're a constant source of inspiration for me because they're a mirror into what how I want to live in the world, and in the best sort of way, because I don't want to be something that I don't want my girls to mirror something for me that I wouldn't be proud of, you know.
My daughter's gotten to the point where all my songs aren't very good, so
I'm sorry to hear that.
Brutally honest, our first critics are not actually ourselves, but children. We're getting a bunch of questions, and there's still questions to go, so we're gonna slowly wrap things up here. What kind of basically I wanted to check in and see what kind of things do you like to do outside of making music? You know, we talk so much about music. Are there things outside of music, or are there other things that you're passionate about?
I like to I snowboard, I ski, like cross country ski. I fish. I play ice hockey and skate. My daughter likes to skate. What else? I like to write. I don't only write music. I like to write poetry and prose, and I've been doing some articles for the West End Phoenix here in Toronto as well. And what else do I like? I like food. We talked about that. I like meditation. I like sleeping when I get a chance.
Sleeping's good.
Yeah, those kind of things are the first things that come to mind. I like being outside, just generally.
Forrest, how about yourself?
I think my favorite thing to do outside of music is and like spending time with my children. I really love spending time with my children and Nevada. But outside of those things, spending time with family, extended family is really big for me. I love spending time with the extended family. I love sitting down and having in-depth one-on-one conversations with people. I have a couple of friends who are go-tos for me, where I need to see them every, at least once a month, to sit down and just go deep and just have a really in-depth personal conversation. And I don't know, I really love this. I guess this technically is music, but it's not. It's a different side of music. I like to just learn and play instruments, all kinds of instruments. I love sitting down and playing the drums. I love sitting down and playing piano. I love trying to figure out, different things on bass. And those are not instruments that I normally like. It seems different to me than like writing songs and recording and working on it, because it's just, this is what I do to blow off steam. And then I think, I really like, really big into Star Wars. So me and my daughter, we're really big into Star Wars. So we have a constant loop of movies and TV shows, and a lot of my family's really into Star Wars too. So we have like a super nerdy Star Wars chat where all we do is talk about Star Wars, and
I forgot one other thing. I love going to antique and thrift shops and collecting stuff from there.
Yes, me too.
Finding treasures.
Yeah, I love finding treasures.
Awesome. It's so cool to get to know both of you, and we're all so excited to see you play. So yeah, I just want to say thank you again for joining us. If we didn't get to your questions, please email us at info@reginafolkfestival.com, and we'll either answer your questions or forward them along to Julian or Forrest. And I just want to say thank you again, Julian and Forrest. Do you have any final things that you want to share with us and the audience today?
Beautiful to have been able to spend this time with both of you. Thank you.
Yeah, same here. Thanks for having me. And I'm really excited, Julian, for us to meet, and I'm looking forward to that hug. I'm not gonna forget that.
I'm a big hugger. And now that we can, I'm so happy we can hug now.
Yeah, yeah.
We recorded this session, so you're committed to do it now.
Done.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. But I really enjoyed the session too, and I just want to remind everyone who's joining us today or watching later that tickets for the Winterruption show are on sale now over at reginafolkfestival.com. And so Julian Taylor and the North Sound play Saturday, April 2nd at the Exchange. And head over to the Folk Fest website to get all the info and to check out the full Winterruption lineup. And thanks again to you both. And I wish you safe and happy travels and days ahead. Thank you again.
Thanks, Amber.
Great. Thank you very much.
Take
Bye.
care.